When doing the character of Rush, I think the hardest thing was that I was using a voice that was not as charming as my usual voice, and that made it challenging when it came to emotional states in the character because I had to throw some of the emotion back into Rush's voice that had to be at bay when I was doing the voice I did for Rush, and sometimes I would completely throw out lines, and that would always frustrate me because redoing lines is never fun, especially if you do them 5 or 6 times. And you know, um, the director, FFS Raptor, actually wanted 3 takes, so I had to make 3 good takes out of so many bad ones. But that was fine because a challenge is always good to bring out more in any voice actor. I think my character evolved in that any bigot would, in that someone who from the outside doesn't trust or like someone, when you spend time with them, you really realize that your perception is never 100% correct. And it doesn't take much for you to go from disliking someone for what they became to appreciating who they are on the inside. And I wish a lot more real people were like that, and I try to be like that. And to play it up as if I wasn't that kind of person at first, that was fun and kind of sad, um, in how I had to hold back any real sympathetic feelings in my lines until he actually grew up. It was very hard to watch my character be blind at first, but it was also imperative that I, of course, showed that blindness. Otherwise, you couldn't, actually feel for the character. I think Rush is one of those old school types who believes in individual abilities and really doesn't like it when someone outranks you simply for some unfair advantage. And also, I don't think he actually grasps the idea of sacrifice the way many others do. And that's that's fine because some people aren't willing to sacrifice anyone for any cost. And while that means you may be hindered in your own journey, it usually makes you more rewarded as a person in terms of the people around you. And I think that even though Rush didn't completely change to what the Spartans were in terms of cold calculation, I think they made. I think in Raptors' direction, I think they made Rush very um, willing to go with change, if not completely agreeable with it. I prepared for this role with the idea that I would be a completely different type of character than I usually am. I I kind of have a past of being pigeonholed into my regular voice, so I figured why not give the most unpleasant voice I had and make him relatable. I know that seems weird to say, but when I went for the character of Rush, I knew most people that had me in their voice acting roles wanted me for the brass tone, which is kind of mostly my voice. So, doing this voice, which is kind of inspired by Ocelot from Rise of the Spartans, I knew that most people would be like, wow, that's a weird voice. But over time, you would relate and empathize with the character. And it was very hard to put emotion behind this because it's almost like I got a bubble over my throat when I'm doing this voice. And making him relatable and emotional, that's always a pain in the freaking butt. But it was important for me to completely feel like I was possessed by something else than my usual self and to get what makes people like me as a voice actor through that voice. And, well, I couldn't be happier. You know, it's pretty hard for me to ever like a story. Do I think that Raptor's script is good? Yes. I think he wrote some good dialogue, and I think the story, while not being probably the most original revolutionary thing, was a very good vision and a very good had very good themes. I was gonna say thematic, but I'll say themes. It had very good themes, and you know, if there's one thing I'm happy with, it's that the better I do, the more above the original potential that F FFS Raptor wanted, I contribute. I really want him to have what he wants in his vision and his script, but I want him to also have more. I want him to expect more out of me, and I really tried to deliver. But in terms of story, I mean, how can you not like a story like this?